Instagram, and I bugged the crap out of him trying to get that video to you, trying to get on the show. And Dustin, I love you.
Dustin, are you getting bombarded now? Like, is your whole like?
Of course he is.
You're just getting killed.
I'm sorry.
You getting inappropriate offers like money and shit?
No.
I offered him a Ninja Turtle painting.
You did. I remember that. That was cool.
All right, get out of here, Dustin.
Hey, right. So I know I got to wrap up because you're running low on time, but I really listened to your advice, and I've been driving the same car for 14 years. My wife's car is paid off. We live in the redneck ghetto on an acre and a half because our mortgage is only $550 a month. I'm setting myself up for the garyvee, future type of thing, and I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses. So thank you for confirming, my behavior, and I know I'm going to make it, and I just
have made it. It's not even about making it, bro. You have made it.
Yeah.
Like you've lived a more interesting life at 34 than 90% of people live to 100, and you've got talent and you've got good vibes. You're good, bro. You're good.
It's funny because everything I've ever set out to do, it's happened. Like I've met every celebrity I've ever wanted to meet. I did the MTV thing, which they actually aired it last year, which is so weird because someone took a snapshot and were like, "You're on TV." I'm like, "Wait a minute, I thought that," but whatever. But so anything I've ever set out to do, it happens. And I wanted to meet you, and we're talking right now, bro. And it's just crazy. And, before I sign off, I just want to tell you this, man, because I really feel like this is on my heart. But, I want to tell you this, man. My Bible tells me to give honor where honor is due. And you have a God-given talent for motivating people and having an impact through your content. And, I truly believe we met for a reason. And I want to tell you, man, I believe God has an even bigger message inside of you that's going to impact more people than you already are, which is...
I agree.
And you're going to continue to excel no matter what. But I'm telling you right now, I'm literally on my knees. I'm going to be praying for you every day, and God is going to move in your life. And you're going to call me because you got my number now. Dude, some amazing supernatural things are happening behind the scenes since our talk. What the heck are you praying over there? And
Keep
this
going, bro.
is going to affect people's eternities, not just legacy here on earth. And I'm rooting for you, bro. I love you, man, and I can't thank you enough for this time with you. Seriously.
I appreciate it, man. I wish you well. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Gary.
Good kid. All right, let's keep going. I like the Jersey good vibes. That was a nice kid. All right, let's keep going, Dust.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm focused and never finished.
Good. I like that. What's your name?
My name's Rob.
Rob, real pleasure.
Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of context. So I live in a really small town here in the Silicon Valley called Milpitas, just right in front of San Jose. And if you know anything about the Silicon Valley, it has like a really hardcore startup culture, right?
Yes.
And so I've always had a sort of entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, the only thing that I really want to do in life, nobody could really convince me otherwise. I want to make movies. Like, that's the only thing, that's the only shit that really, truly makes me happy. But but the thing with me is that I'm having a hard time having the discipline and having the accountability to really just go for it. And really
what are you scared of, and what are the circumstances of your childhood? Are you like what's stopping you? Like, if you get real fucking real with me. Really tell me the actual answer, because it's just hard to say out loud.
Yeah, I'm actually completely fine with saying it. I've said it before on my Instagram where I think it was about a year ago. I was really, really passionate about making this short film. It was part of my graduation requirements, and we had to make just a short, 10-minute film. Yep. And so I made it, and all hell broke loose. I was super passionate, super, on top of shit, and everything just was the editing was bad. I didn't really like the camera angles we got. Everybody's time schedules was just so constrained to the point where we weren't even able to finish, we had to cut out probably like 80% of the story. You know what I mean? And
it didn't go well.
Didn't pan out.
Yep, that's good.
Yep.
Dude, that's good. Stay with me here. That's good. Adversity is always the foundation of success. You needed that punch in the face because you probably came in too hot and thought you were fucking Steven Spielberg and this was going to be fucking amazing. Like, you probably came in too hot. You probably came in too audacious, too entitled, too competent, overconfident, had an ideology in your head. You might have even, at this young of an age, not done right as a leader and might have not known how to lead the people to success. You might have taken the framework of they're working for you instead of you're working for them because you've had this dream, this ambition. This has been manifesting in your head. So there's almost like this entitled subconscious that comes into that those people there, the editors, the filmer, right, that they're there for you, right. Where in reality, for real success, you're there for them.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, I'm excited. I'm grateful that this was such a fuck up because you're so young. And I think it led to a self-reflecting moment. You've already shared that out to the world on your Instagram. Here you and I are now. I'm proud of you. You need to view that as what you deserved. You weren't good. That's why it sucked. That's on you. But that's great because then you get to look at what you were good at.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And, I've worked with this nonprofit chapter. I opened it on campus and everything. And so I had this leading ability, which allowed me. And look, I've been pretty vocal about this. I fucked up probably way more than a lot of people do. And just realizing that I'm young and realizing that I'm only 22 years old. And,
you're supposed to fuck up.
Yeah.
Like nobody came out nobody comes out the gate. I had the great fortune that I made my fucked up mistakes when I was a kid. Right? I think back to this story where I had $1,000 very early in my baseball card career, and I begged my mom to take me to Price Club, which was the precursor to Costco. And we got there, and the boxes I wanted to buy weren't there. But instead of being disciplined and not having the money burn a hole in my pocket and just keep it and be patient, this is me at 13, I went on a spree and bought a ton of bad cards. Spent almost all the money on these bad cards, bad football cards, bad baseball cards. Took them home, opened it up, got that high, loved it. It was almost the lottery. But then I had nothing. I had nothing of value. And I had to grind all of 8th grade, making good trades, selling shit to get back to even that point where I had that money. And that taught me a great lesson. I had the luxury of learning a lot of my business lessons. We don't talk about business kid prodigies, but, if that was a thing, I would have been one of those. I learned a lot of things at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So now I'm 44, but I'm 100 because I've been in my game for fucking 37 years, which most people don't get into their game until their mid-20s, and then they're retiring. I'm in my prime. I'm in the dawn of my prime. My prime's probably in my 60s. So I think this is great that you fucking had this huge L, because I think it is starting to instill more humility into you, which is going to be a balance that you're going to need to be a great movie maker.
Yeah. So how do you think I should have that accountability moving forward? Because I totally realize that, and especially after talking to you, it's just now I'm writing, this feature film that I'm doing, and pretty much really starting to get the ball rolling again. So how do I have the accountability? And shit?
First and foremost, you have to realize that it was 100% your fault that failed, and that you don't want that to happen again. You don't want that to happen. So I think 1, that should help you. 2, you should also be okay when this one gets fucked up, because maybe you were at 10 audacity, and maybe as you sit here with me, you're still at 7. and you may need another punch in the fucking neck to go to 4. Like, you know, like it's still a process. But what the number one thing I can tell you, brother, is if you're a leader, you work for them, they don't work for you. It's a huge factor. And I see it a ton in creatives getting fucked up and getting confused.
Right.
It's a huge factor. You work for them. So, A, you have to tell a great story. But to see that story come into real life, you're going to need to be the number 2 to your editor, number 2 to the intern getting coffee for the actors. You're always playing the humble card. And I always believe that works out in the end. I genuinely do. And so you have to be accountable and humble going into this, knowing that was your vulnerability the first time around.
And
it's practice.
Totally.
It's about confidence. You know who are the dick directors and the asshole bosses? The insecure.
Yeah.
They need the short-term fix, like they're the boss. But they win the battle. Like, yay, they belittled somebody. They can feel better for a quick hit. But meanwhile, everyone's talking shit behind their back, and they're not liked, and their legacy's fucked.
Yeah.
It's about confidence. Go ahead.
One last thing that I want to ask you before we kind of cut it off. So, if you were Gary and you, instead of Gary the media guy, you were Gary the movie guy, and this is your first film out of film school, and you really want to get this film out there. What is your game plan for that?
So it's interesting, right? Because I'm going to be Gary V, the movie guy, and the TV guy. Like, I'm going to make original content in my career. My approach to that was to build a marketing engine, VaynerMedia, that could bring exposure to every one of my projects when the time is right. So I'm living what you're saying. I just decided to take a 30-year, 40-year approach to it because my passion was building the marketing engine and then layering it. For you, your passion is the movie. Here's what I would say. I would build a community. I would, if I'm you, I would network like crazy. I would join a ton of Facebook groups. I would start a bunch of Instagram accounts. I would comment on people's YouTube. I would do a ton of homework on who's winning in Hollywood and New York and start DMing them and offer to be an intern. I would lean into humility and patience and work ethic to build a community to then leverage to bring exposure to when that film is out. But let me tell you the biggest thing I've learned kind of spending time in Hollywood over the last 5 years, kind of paying attention. Movie marketing is garbage. People are really bad at marketing movies. Really bad at it. They do not use the modern platforms. And so, listen, my game is very simple. Whether you're trying to cure Crohn's disease or whether you're trying to raise money for the PTA or whether you're trying to help one 16-year-old girl who's on the verge of making tough decisions, I believe that the internet is the most powerful medium to reach people. And I think whatever sites or apps are winning on top of the internet at the moment, whether that's podcasts or YouTube, whether that's TikTok or LinkedIn, being a storyteller within all those platforms matters. I'll give you an example. It's about creativity. One thing I would do if I was writing a movie, I would probably start an account of the lead character in that film 2 years before the film came. As you're writing the story and we create a character named Benjamin Thompson, I would literally create an Instagram account for Benjamin Thompson. Find some artist like the one I just had on social media and literally DM like 50 artists and be like, hey, if you create this character with me and do all the drawings in the comic strip or the pictures or whatever, when I make my movie, I'll give you a 0.05% of the back end if it ever takes, like, just being creative, just being thoughtful, like, and God forbid that Instagram account gets a little traction, it leads to a narrative when the film comes out. Like, so there's just a lot of creative ways to do shit. The bottom line though is, and it's so obvious to me, brother, this is a game of patience and putting in the work. Like, when you're an aspiring, filmmaker, you dream every day. It's in your soul for you to have your breakout film. You watch the fucking Oscars and you see highlight and you're like, that's going to be, you see a break, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. But like, the reality is it takes a lot of grinding time. A lot.
Yeah. I mean, the only luxury we have is time, right?
Yeah, and then other people will be like, time is fleeting and you never know. And I get all that. But like the reality is, whether you think we have a ton of time or no time, whichever one you believe in, I can promise you this. The fucking hard work is the cost of entry. You either have such extreme God-given talent that the first thing you write pops off on some Matt Damon, and Ben Affleck shit, right? Or you're like the 99% and you put in the fucking 2 decades and then your moment comes. Take it from a 44-year-old who's twice your age. If I told you right now, you have to put in 22 years of grinding, but at 44 you hit, you would fucking rip your arm off for that opportunity. Yet when you're 22, that sounds like the worst.
Yeah, it does. Sounds so far away, but that's what it takes, right?
It definitely is normally a foundational piece of the required way to get there. But here's my thing. Being a filmmaker that is commercially successful enough to live your life is such a lottery ticket, it should be hard. I keep reminding all my friends and youngsters in this community, it's like, wait a minute, so let me get this straight. You want to be a millionaire? Less than a 1% of 1% kind of life? Shouldn't that be hard? Shouldn't that take a long time? Shouldn't it be really difficult?
Right.
Like shouldn't that require enormous amounts of time? Shouldn't that be a process? I'm always trying to get people to understand what they're actually asking for. Are you out of your mind? There's only so many filmmakers in the world. You want to live that life? Cool. But of course it should be fucking bleeding out of your eyeballs. Of course there should be unlimited roadblocks. Of course this should be hard.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Bro?
All right, Gary. Yeah.
Good luck, bro.
One last thing. Can I just grab this clip?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Work with Dustin. All right.
Awesome.
Let's get
Thank
one
you
more
so
in,
much.
Dustin. You got it.
Bye.
Danny,
Hey, Gary.
how are you?
I'm amazing. This is amazing. Thank you so much for this
Can you hold on
opportunity.
1 second?
And
Yep, you got it. Can you hold on 1 second? Hey, Dustin,
Yep.
are you personally going to apologize to Sarah, who thought she had a 100th of a second moment?
Sorry,
and now
I'm
you
sorry,
screwed her
Sarah.
since-
I
So
clicked.
this is it's clearly she's not going to get in today. You gave her a 100th of a second of hope, but then you took it away like the Grim Reaper. Are you
But
going to
she'll-
personally
but-
apologize?
But on the hindsight, she'll be first tomorrow.
Get out of here. Danny,
Yeah, not gonna lie, I had a mini freak out. I was like, oh no. But no, thanks so much for this opportunity. And I'll try and be brief. And just as someone who feeds off the inspiration of others, certainly you are someone that is endless source of inspiration to me. So thank you for that. So
thank you.
just quickly, a little backstory. So I am originally from St. Louis, but I'm a musician and a drummer composer. That's been my whole life since my earliest memories of being alive. And that's all I've ever really wanted to do with my life. And so I moved to the city, New York City, for college and studied music. And that's just always been my whole life. It's my biggest passion. Never been a question about that. And so recently I started making these short clips for Instagram where I would compose a bass line and I would improvise on drums over that. And so without trying to be too technical here, a lot of the concepts that I worked with in college were just very advanced technical music concepts. Specifically advanced rhythms and things like that. So some of the stuff that, my community was working on a lot and sort of studying a lot is not as, I don't want to say accessible, but it's not as known to...
Makes sense.
Yeah, right.
This is super cliche. As you were talking, I'm like, this reminds me of the wine world. Everybody is so nerdy and gets so fucking deep that they made wine not accessible to Americans. And what I did with Wine Library TV was made wine accessible for the youth and the Americans in general, and that's why it worked, because to your point, you out nerded the field and they couldn't understand the value even if they heard it.
Right. Well, and I mean, I think that's kind of where this little niche for me came in, because I started making these clips and, they were, I was doing them because I was like, okay, this is something I like to do. And it also kind of showcases my musical influences and the direction I'm going. But it's also just a form of content that people might find engaging.
Cool.
And so it was working really well on Instagram. So I started putting it in these Facebook groups. And they're, these like subgenres that sort of relate to the kind of music that I work on. And they really took off there. So I started putting them in Reddit. And then they really took off there. And then COVID happened. And so I'm like, okay, I've been meaning to start a YouTube channel for a while now of this kind of content. And like, I actually had the channel for a while and didn't really do anything with it. And just was hard to, I just didn't prioritize it enough. And so basically my question is more or less, this channel, there's a lot of music channels out there, a lot of drum lessons, things like that. This stuff is
but there's no Danny YouTube channel.
Right, exactly. And I think part of it is that this stuff's kind of weird.
Yeah, the end.
Mm-hmm.
There's an ungodly amount of content in every genre. There's unlimited people that talk about mindset and business stuff like me. There's unlimited people that do wine content. There's unlimited everything. There's nobody's making up anything new. The only
very true.
The only new or unique thing is the human behind it.
100% agree. And that's kind of part of the thing that helped me be very motivated about it, is I'm like, well, I'm kind of a, specific character, and like maybe, the combination of the music and just whatever other attributes are in these clips, it's going to be something people resonate with. And then that kind of was bolstered by those things doing well on Facebook and Reddit and stuff.
I love that.
So, and career-wise, I make all my money off of playing or teaching, and I love both. And so it was kind of a win-win. I'm like, well, I start this channel, and then that will bring attention to me as a teacher and also as a performer, etc. So my general question is, finding the niche that I resonate with was easy on Reddit and on Instagram and Facebook, just because it's very clear-cut, like, oh, go here, post right here, and all the people that are into this will check it out. With YouTube, I feel like the day that I started the channel and told my people to come over to it, they did. And, like overnight, I might have gotten 50 or 60 people. Now I've got maybe about 130 subscribers. But I'm trying to figure out how to reach, like, this niche is small, but not the smallest.
They're going to do it by your titles and descriptions. People are going to search. The end.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on, and I'm constantly.
I think what you need to work on is being okay with slow growth when you had quick growth in the other platforms.
100%. Yeah, YouTube clearly does not work the same way. And I'm constantly watching these videos.
And where are you on TikTok? Because I know you didn't have the audacity to come on this show and not have your TikTok ready.
So initially I started a TikTok for my band Horse Torso, and then you like that? Yeah, my wife.
Yeah, I like that name. Love that name.
And so initially I was posting there, and then I started this other channel. But so I watched a lot of TikTok, tried to kind of figure out how to cater to it. I was posting basically the same content I had been posting on the other platforms, and it just wasn't taking off on TikTok. So admittedly, briefly, I paused TikTok, but then I set up another TikTok that's for my specific channel. It's got the same name as my YouTube channel, Udiments.
Good. And what is that? Spell that so people can follow.
It's Youdiments. So it's like rudiments. So in drumming, there's a thing called rudiments, which are patterns that drummers practice to, get their technique together. So the concept of Udiments is basically like, my take is that a thing we really weren't taught in school is that not only should you learn all these things that were set by, the history of playing music, but we should also be examining what we do naturally well and the things that work well for us, and we should be doubling down on practicing what works for us in addition to studying all the patterns that are within the tradition of drumming.
I like it.
Thanks. And I did get that URL, so it's, exactly. It's YouTube /Udements. And now I'm getting notifications already.